which is what we're talking about right now. I'm sure you're up on that. Maybe you have not heard, but Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers have not come to terms on a new contract, and it appears Baker Mayfield will be playing under the terms of his current contract in 2026. So I believe the way you read that, Tim, the way I read it is they're done negotiating. That's it. What he's playing on right now, he's going to go into his final year of his contract with no new deal.
Yeah, Greg Allman expanded on that, saying any talks of a new contract for Baker Mayfield and the Bucs are finished, and he will play the 26th season on his current expiring deal, and the two sides will revisit things from there, potentially a major free agent in March.
Playing with fire, because there are going to be some other teams who will love to have Baker Mayfield's services. And now you're going to go into next year competing with other teams. There's a team a little bit farther north from here that has a lot of pretty decent weapons that Baker Mayfield, I think, could have a lot of success with, and that is the Minnesota Vikings. And look, that's just one team, right? You're going to have the Steelers looking for a quarterback. You are going to have... I'm trying to think of like good situations. Possibly the Colts. You might have the Texans looking for a new quarterback. I have no idea what will happen with C.J. Stroud. Because he's going into his fourth year, they would have to then commit to his fifth year, and then they'd be paying him around $27 to $30 million. Is he going to be worth it? The way he's played last year, not necessarily. You look at teams like, let's see, I'm trying to think who else could be in contention for his services.
Could he go back to L.A. and the Rams? Stafford's older.
Yeah, they drafted Simpson, so I would say no to that. But, I think the team that would compete for his services the most would absolutely be, because you want to look at because remember when we were talking about Baker Mayfield and the contract stuff not too long ago, the biggest feedback we got on the phone lines and the text lines was, well, the Bucs have all the cards because they offer him the best situation. And I'm like, well, not exactly. I think the situation in Minnesota would be pretty nice, among some others. So I think it's risky business for the Buccaneers to not sign him, because now you're going to be competing with others. Now, they could always franchise tag him. They do have that in their back pocket. But the problem with the franchise tag, and look, this is a franchise that does not have they got egg on their face right now. They don't look good to the rest of the world. Losing your franchise player in Mike Evans, Vita Vea requesting a trade, not signing your quarterback who, when it's all said and done, will be the leading quarterback in every single quarterback stat, right? And so you don't look good as a franchise right now. And this is not a good look. Who's going to want to come into play here in the future when all of this is going on? So I think they're making a big mistake by not extending Baker Mayfield. Now, I can defend the Bucs a little bit on the Vita Vea stuff, which we'll get back into, but we did get a lot of feedback here on the text line after the first segment. Well, how about this take, Nick and Tim? What about the philosophy of the whole team from the ownership down? Maybe that is causing players like Mike Evans and Vita Vea to make these decisions. That is in response to us saying, look, you can't blame Todd Bowles for everything. I don't think Todd Bowles is the reason Mike Evans left. I don't think Todd Bowles is the reason Levante David's no longer playing. I think the reason that Levante David is no longer playing is because he couldn't play at a high level. And I believe the team upgraded at the position this year. When it comes to Vita Vea, it has nothing to do with Vita Vea wanting out because of Todd Bowles. Vita Vea has said in the past he likes playing for Todd Bowles. I think he really means that. I do think the defensive guys do enjoy playing for a defensive head coach. This comes down to money and money only. So, yeah, I think it's more likely that it's ownership than it is Todd Bowles. I don't know what the true problem is. I mean, in the Vita Vea stuff, yeah, this is on ownership, right? They're saying, no, we're not giving you what you want. The Mike Evans thing, they were willing to pay there, so that's not a Jason Light problem. That's not a Todd Bowles issue. To me, I don't know if Mike had issues with everybody upstairs or not. You going to say something, Tim?
Well, yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking is none of this involves Todd Bowles. The fact that people are saying that is hilarious to me.
Well, he's going to be the scapegoat in every conversation. He is not. He has never been well liked here.
That's true, and I understand him not being well liked, but at the same time, it's Vita Vea is all about money. We talked about Mike Evans before and how there are rumors that it has nothing to do with the coaching staff or his teammates. We talked about Again, Baker not getting the money. Like, that's what, at the end of the day, it goes down to the front office and upstairs and ownership.
Go ahead. What were you gonna say?
No. That's all I got to say.
Here's another text. I really think the Bucs are leery to sign these guys to big contracts because they're nervous about having to let Bulls go and start a rebuild with all of these bad veteran contracts. No, what would be nervous about a restart and looking for a new coach is not having a quarterback. You know, if Todd Bowles were to get fired after this season, let's just play hypothetical. If Todd Bowles were to get let go when this season is over, and you would want, I would imagine 99.9% of you would want what? You would want the bright offensive mind. And you're going to start yelling out all these names like Nate Scheelhaus from the Rams and all of these guys that you've never actually seen or are familiar with their work, but you're going to hear the names. You're going to want that new offensive guru that has had a text message from Sean McVay at some point in his life, because that's what everybody wants. Do you think when you are competing with every other team who's going to be looking for a new head coach at the end of the year, and there will be some, because there always is some. Let's say the Bengals have another down year and Zach Taylor's on his way out the door. We think the Jets could have a job opening. You know, when you look at all of these teams, and maybe the Jets are a bad example because nobody wants to go there, but you know, I think the situation in Cincinnati is real. Like, Zach Taylor could be fired. That's going to be a hot job opening. You want to know why? Because there's a quarterback in place. If you don't sign Baker Mayfield and you get rid of Todd Bowles at the end of the year, which is what they're going to do, not sign Baker. Now, again, franchise tag in their back pocket if they want to use it. But you're going to have a better chance of attracting that new offensive coach by having a guy like Baker Mayfield locked up long term. Baker Mayfield is going to help you get the coach you want. He's not going to hurt you despite what some think. He's going to help you bring in that coach that you want. And guess what? He has had so many different offensive coordinators and systems. He has shown us that no matter who his coach is, he can adapt and he can do it quickly and he can learn any playbook and he can have some success. But having Baker Mayfield signed up long-term is not hurting you when it comes to restarting. Now, when you look at the Vita Vea stuff, what his contract could look like, here's the way I would play it out. Because, one, I'm not trading him. The value, I had someone come up to my desk today and say, do you think they could get 2 first-round picks? I said, are you high? No. They can't get 2 first-round picks. They can't get a first-round pick. I think at the very most, you would get a late second, and I got to be honest, I'm probably being generous there. His trade value is a 3rd-round pick, which is why I'm not going to trade him, and I'm going to tell him that up front. I'm not trading you, dude. You're either going to sit out, we'll play chicken. I don't think you're going to turn down this $18 million. And if you do, well, good luck making it up in the offseason because you're already $18 million in the hole. So here's how I would handle it if I'm the Buccaneers. I'm not trading him. It's out the window because a 3rd-round pick, what's that going to do me? I'm going to bump up his pay. What did you say his value was, and what was the source, Tim? You said the value was 28. Tim's answering phones. He said the value was around $28 million for Vita Vea, which would put him in the top 3. I'm fine with that. You want to offer him top 3 money for 1 year and 1 year only? I'll do it. We'll bump him up to 28, right? You're going to take the money you offered Mike Evans. You're going to move it over to Vita Vea since Mike didn't take it. You got the money. You got the cap space there. It's a $10 million raise for this year. We know this year he is still going to be good as a 31-year-old. Next year, because I'm making him sign for this year plus 2 more years. Next year, $24 million at the age of 32. I still think he can be worth that. All right, that makes him top 10 defensive tackles. What I'm not doing is resetting the market for Vita Vea. I appreciate your services. You've been really good. I'm not paying you for what you've been. I'm going to pay you for what I think you are right now. And then year number 3, it comes back down to $18 million, which is what he's getting this year at the age of 33, and I'm calling it a day, and after that, see ya. He'll be 33 years old. He'll be paid as a top 20 interior defensive lineman, and then we part our ways. You want to continue playing football after the age of 33. It's tough for a guy that size at that position, but go for it. But this isn't like they don't need to operate like the Rays, where it's like, oh, no, Junior Caminero hasn't signed. We got to hurry up and trade him before we lose his value. We don't have to treat this like the Rays. Because you're not getting 3 players, 4 players in return who are prospects who will eventually start for you. You would get 1 third-round pick who might play. So there's not that much value in it for the Bucs other than keeping him. And call his bluff. You're going to sit out? All right, sit out. Don't see it happening. Just don't see it happening. I do want to get Steve Isbitz on from JoeBucksFan.com. He's close to the situation. He's familiar with this team and this organization. We'll talk to him, get his thoughts on the Vita Vea stuff. The Baker Mayfield contract, if you're just joining us, he is going to play on his current contract. Their negotiations have stalled, and they are done. And it is a complete bleep show at $1 right now. Again, I can defend him on the Vita Vea stuff. The Baker stuff doesn't make much sense unless you plan on using that franchise tag, which I don't like the thought of doing that.